You're listening to Around Comics. 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 You're listening to Around Comics.
From Chicago, you're listening to Around Comics and watching it, because we are on video as well, on YouTube, live. We're the Comic Culture Podcast, where we talk about everything in and around the world of comics. I am one of your hosts, Brian Salazar. With me is my partner in crime, Christopher, the man, the myth, the spooky, Christopher Niesman.
Go Dogs. Even though I found out that in England we would be referred to as presenters. I'm like, what's a presenter? Yes, like show hosts. They're presenters. Yes, because I found a whole new level of like white middle-aged geeky nerdum stuff. Is that we actually have our friend who lives in Northern Ireland has been sending us links to pirated copies of Extra Slice, which is the after show talk show after the Great British Bake Off.
Oh, wow. My wife and daughter watch that show.
Yeah. Oh, so I can hook you up. I can hook you up with the really bad British talk show. You know how like Bravo does their, or AMC does like the Talking Dead. They do that whole thing with the Great British Bake Off.
They'd probably like that. They would probably like that.
Yeah, they have the person that got eliminated for the week comes on, and they do all sorts of silly things.
Back before, like everybody and their brother had a podcast and an after show talking about stuff like that. A friend of mine, she ran a website where basically they did that in.
For reality TV shows, right?
Yeah, it was all reality TV shows.
They were kind of a thing.
Yeah, it was pretty big. Like she was really popular. Big Brother was the big one because she would live stream there was like live feeds for Big Brother, so you could watch the recorded sort of show on CBS. But then there was live stream that you could watch and like subscribe to it. You would sit there and not transcribe, but basically.
Running commentary
live streams, and that became really hugely popular for her on this message. But it was a message board. It was before not before, but it was before podcasting really took off like it is now. Hey, could you turn it down a little bit, your speakers? I'm getting a little feedback.
I'm going to throw some headphones on.
But yeah, so that got pretty big. She ended up, like, now she became kind of obsessed with the like making a murderer kind of stuff, and that really hardcore. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't talk to her that much anymore. But yeah, it became pretty. It was a pain in the neck. I built her website for her, and it was called MediaFiends.com.
That's right. I remember that.
It would go down all the time because she would get so many people on there. I mean, it was a shame that she wasn't like doing that now because she'd probably be rich.
Oh, yeah.
She had so much traffic to that website during that time, but it just wasn't monetized quite yet, So it was an interesting thing. But
early adopter to all that, which that's cool. That's cool. Speaking of because the whole like murder podcast, the real crime stuff, that's a thing now.
God, yeah, everybody has one.
It's crazy because I'll and here this sounds weird and hopefully it doesn't come off the wrong way, but
you were murdered.
So I do some freelance work with different companies, and the company I work for full time, we have and I end up working with a lot of like early 30 something women and like late 20 something women, and I'm always asking, it's like, what podcast do you listen to, because I've got a long commute, that kind of stuff. They all listen to like real crime murder podcasts.
Oh yeah,
that's like the thing, and I'm just like, that's really dark.
Yeah, well, the one that's super popular is the My Favorite Murder or My Favorite Murder or something like that.
Yep.
That one's super, but they've really built that into sort of like
they've got a brand.
Yeah, and it's like very female, like one of the things they sort of built it on was the idea of like a lot of these women get murdered because they're so, like they've been taught to always be nice. And like if these guys would prey on that, these serial killers would sort of prey on making them feel too awkward to run away or too awkward to say something. And so like their motto, and my daughter I think has a wristband or something like that, is like, I can't remember what it is, but something like "fuck you, stay safe" or so. You know what I mean? Like, nice. Or like "fuck nice" and stay safe. Like, because that's kind of their thing. Is like, fuck that, be rude. If someone makes you feel uncomfortable, fuck them. Stay safe.
Be safe.
Yeah. I'm not. It's not that. It's something like that. But it's so they've really built sort of a powerful message with theirs of like, yeah, don't get murdered by serial killers, but because you're too afraid to tell someone.
Be nice, but not too nice. Yeah. My wife, on the other hand, listens to erotic fiction podcasts. So it's like her favorite, I think, is called Heaving Bosoms, which it's two friends that I think live across the country from each other, and so they get together once a week and talk about the trashy romance novels that they're reading.
Nice. Well, the comic book thing I think is sort of flaming out for us. Maybe we should transition
erotic fiction,
true crime,
true
crime erotica. I think
bulging trousers,
bulging trousers. I don't know if that's going to play well. I don't know. If bulging. Yeah.
And I think we have our episode name.
There it is.
Oh, goodness. Well, speaking of comic books, we do try and talk about them and things around comic books. I don't know. Tom is going to be joining us in a couple minutes. He's a little delayed, but should we talk about The Boys? Because I have a feeling that you've probably watched the last episode. Not comic books, comic book inspired stuff.
I actually have not watched the last episode yet.
Let me spoil it for you.
No, please don't. I've already.
It's good. It's good. It's
amazing.
Yeah, it's a good
guys and
don't count that chicken.
Okay, well, I don't care.
Yes, people die, but I think the person that someone may have said.
Don't say anymore. I don't want to know. Nobody's saying it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know anything.
It's good. It's good. I think you'll like it. I forget that it's like an 8 episode season, and it snuck up on me. I saw someone post online that they'd watched the last episode of The Boys. I'm like, what? No, I want it to go on for like another month because it's.
I know, right? Like
it's so good.
It's not enough. It's not enough episodes for sure. It's really good and fun, and you kind of want more episodes out of it. But unfortunately I can't talk about the last one yet because I did not watch it. I've been really busy the last couple of weeks and just did not. I keep meaning. In fact, I'm probably going to watch it after this. I'm probably going to,
Yeah, there is a line that Stormfront has about Nazism that will hit you in the chest. Yeah, it's so good. And makes you a little sad for everything. We've had speaking of like weird current events and that kind of stuff. Tosa's been all over. I'm Wauwatosa's where I live, just north of Wauwatosa actually. So we've been on the news. I heard we made CNN with protests and all that. It hasn't been that bad. It hasn't been that bad.
I assume all of it's kind of hype.
It's trumped up. It hasn't been bad.
Trumped up. I was gonna read we had not an email, but we had someone had tweeted
a tweet
around comics, and to you specifically though, it was about an artificial, like a robot that someone is making to play
Oh, a curling robot.
robot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they wanted to, make sure you knew about it. So that
It's so anytime anything is about curling, and
you're
it even comes close to mainstream exposure, it's there'll be like 50 people that will tag me and send it. It's like, oh, have you seen this? Have you seen this viral video of them with the cats curling? I'm like,
gotcha.
yes, yes, yeah. So yeah, the curling robot, yeah. Which sure, it's
Good luck to it.
yeah, of course. I mean, they can set up a robotic, archer as well. That's probably
Better.
pretty good. The machines will kill us all at some point. It's so yeah.
I'm making friends with them. I keep telling my wife, don't mock Siri and Alexa. They're going to be rulers.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
keep seeing those damn mechanized dogs that the military's messing with. I'm just like, stop doing that. Have you not seen the episode of Black Mirror? I mean, come on, people. Stop making our eventual, destroyers.
Not to go too far off of comics, but have you seen the show? It's on HBO Max. It's called Raised by Wolves.
No, I've heard really good stuff about it though. I'm holding off my HBO Max here for probably a month or so.
It's really interesting. It's very good. It's directed by Ridley Scott, and it's it has a sort of Prometheus feel to it to some degree, but it's not. I mean, it could be connected to that universe. I mean, they haven't made any connection to that universe, and it doesn't feel like overtly like it is, but it certainly could be. But basically, the idea.
Why do people have a big problem with Prometheus? We'll come back to Raised by Wolves because I want to hear your take on it. But what was the damage that people had with that movie? I thought it was fantastic.
I would imagine it's probably one. It wasn't aliens,
but yeah, it
probably a little too cerebral for most people. I think.
Okay.
I think it's slow. It's not certainly like an action-packed sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, it was deliberate.
I mean,
did you like it?
Favorite Ridley Scott film, I think it has some problems, certainly.
But I mean, it's a sci-fi movie. Of course, it's going to have problems.
Well, if you like Prometheus, I think you'll definitely like Raised by Wolves. It's very strange. It's a sci-fi in the future. Basically, the planet has been at war. Earth has been at war for, I don't know, forever. And this starts off with a ship with two androids, mother and father. They're very humanoid androids. Are sent to another planet way off, far from Earth. And they're sent with 12 or 8 embryos, human embryos, to restart life on this planet, and they're supposed to raise them and everything, and they do that, but then it doesn't go as planned and things, but that's just sort of like the tip of the iceberg with it, because then there's like this whole other fraction of people from Earth that are like the android culture. Is like they're atheists, and the other people are like believers.
Now, are the androids? Are these like the Blade Runner like androids? Is that where like the shared universe may come in?
I mean, they could certainly be the replicants. They look human, very very human. But I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but you find out in the first episode like they're not all the same. And there's a lot there that you don't like. It starts off really kind of slow, and there
were replicants, and then like Decker was an android, so there were like the alien androids, and then there were the replicants, so which were different.
Yeah, Well,
Yeah.
but that's the shared universe between Blade Runner and Alien. Is that
Yeah, and like Charlize Theron's character in Prometheus, there was a lot of speculation that she was a replicant because
well, and
she
also
was, yeah,
they reference the guy that built the replicants. I
yeah,
believe.
that was her father.
Yeah.
So hi Rory.
But it's really good. It's a really interesting show so far. I've only watched like 2 or 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
There's that one, and then there's
Lovecraft Country, which I've also hear great stuff about.
which one?
Lovecraft Country.
I didn't. I read the book. I liked the
Yeah.
book. I didn't like the show as much. I mean,
Really? Okay.
I didn't. They changed it a lot, and I just didn't really get what they were doing with it. To be honest, like
Okay.
it didn't make much sense to me. 3-4 episodes in, I'm like, what is going on here? I didn't really get it. So I haven't gone back and finished it. I've heard it's very well done, but I didn't care for it so much. I thought it was just kind of strange.
Okay.
It just didn't make much sense.
Just strange to be strange kind of thing.
Yeah, just all over the place. I don't know. It was weird.
Okay.
But there is the one episode. The last episode I watched was actually really good, but it's just like overall the story was just odd. And after reading the book, it was just like this doesn't feel like the book at all. But anyway,
Yeah.
no, the other one I've watched is on Peacock, and it's Brave New World.
I've not. I've watched Hitmen on Brave New World, bringing it back to Great British Bake Off. It's the original presenters from Great British Bake Off, or in a little sitcom series about being guns for hire, which it's silly, but I find it enjoyable. But yeah, Brave New World.
Brave New World.
Aldous Huxley.
Well, yeah.
Novel.
It's very different than the book. But I really enjoy it, and the kid who played Han Solo,
Yeah.
in the Solo movie, he's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Demi Moore is in it.
Oh, really?
The guy who played Targaryen, the brother, Daenerys's brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Raynar.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So those two, yeah, I've enjoyed both of those sci-fi shows, but there's a lot of AI in both of them. Like there's a ton of AI, and one of the things with it kind of thought that occurred to me when I was watching Raised by Wolves was like, I was talking to somebody about religion, and we were talking about, like, I had seen an article how we're getting to the point where more people believe in UFOs and alien life than God.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder what what an AI, the inevitable creation of artificial intelligence, what are they going to think about the fact that like 60% of the population believes in angels and God and heaven and hell? Like, how is an AI going to sort of understand that? You know what I mean? I think that's a really like weird sort of thing to kind of imagine this completely logical
to some
thing,
unquantifiable belief system.
Yeah, how is it going to register that? I don't know. That could be So it was just,
that's why they decided to wipe us out.
Exactly.
That is why they become our overlords, is because
it sort of touches on that a little bit. Like the androids are their society is all
logic based,
and well, they have feelings, or at least they're programmed to have
feelings,
but they're atheists. They come out and it's like say that, but the show is interesting because it doesn't dip into that a lot as far as like atheism versus religion. I mean, it's not like preaching either side of that, but it's there. It's just kind of I don't know. Here's we have a Lovecraft Country comment from Chris.
Hey, it's Chris
Revelkent.
Yes, fellow Chicagoan. Lovecraft
Country is very hit and miss from episode to episode. I think it may be better as a whole watch through. Yeah, I would I would maybe agree with that. I haven't watched it all, so that's why I was sort of like, I don't know. I've only watched like 4 episodes of it, and it was really well done. It's just like I don't know what's going on. I'm not quite sure what's going on, and I think I was reading the book kind of like at the same time, and so it really made no sense to me because it's very different than the book. But
Okay.
it's really good. I mean, it's really well. And I will say this: like the actress they cast for the one character, I didn't like the choice of actress at all because I just didn't see her as. I didn't see the character from the book being that actress. It just didn't fit for me. But she's really good in it. She has an episode where it's basically all about her, like the 4th episode, I think it is, and she's phenomenal in it. But I just didn't really like. I didn't see her in my head when I was reading the book. Like I didn't picture her because the actress is Jessie Smoulet's sister, I think.
Okay.
The guy that Jessie Smollett kid who got in trouble with Chicago.
Oh, I thought it was Smollett.
Is it Smollett or
Whatever?
Smollett?
The guy who staged the attack. And
it's
been
like
in the Chicago news forever.
Because she has the same last name.
Smollett, I think.
Is it
Like
Smollett?
He was on Empire.
I think I'm just picking up the Dave Chappelle called him Juicy Smollett or something.
Nice. So it's his sister.
I think it's his sister, and she's really good. But she's she's very sort of, she's a little more sexual and like vivacious. And I kind of pictured the character as more bookish and sweet. And she's
it's hard whenever you read along. So
it was just me personally. I was like, oh, that's not who I would have cast.
I think this has come up.
Head.
We talked. I've got friends who their children are getting ready to read Harry Potter, and they have not let the kids watch the movies because they want them to read the books first and form their own vision of what those characters should look like and kind of build that world. So they haven't let them watch the movies yet before they read the books. Much like Tom does with his children.
I mean, it's never going to be the same. It was just a kind of thing. My point was that even though she was not who I would have cast, she was really good. I mean, she's an excellent actor, and the character is just a different type of character, but she's excellent in it. And that's my point. Is like I didn't necessarily care for it, but like all the acting's very good. It's shot beautifully. It's like all the parts are there. I was just sort of like, I'm not sure what the hell's going on.
All the ingredients are there. You just don't know if you like the finished product.
Yeah.
So, hey, Tom.
Oh,
there he is.
Tom had a hard weekend.
Some seltzer.
Nice. I've gone over to the dark side just because we have to get rid of them.
Yeah. Get them White Claws. Ain't no law.
Look at all of us old white men.
I got some hard seltzer in the fridge, but save that for later.
Nice. Did you get out of your militia meeting early and were able to join us?
Yes, wrapped up early on the early.
We have to talk about Wolverine Watchmen for just a second. I mean, come on.
What is Wolverine Watchmen?
Oh, you didn't hear about Wolverine Watchmen? So that was apparently the name of the militia group that the FBI arrested that were going to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer and bring her to Wisconsin.
That's not. I thought it was a comic book reference. I'm like, oh, okay, Wolverine Watchmen. Now that makes sense.
I was
in Michigan. I was on the lookout for militia, but I didn't.
Well, they were going to bring her to Wisconsin and put her on trial. I'm just like, what? Let it all in, Tom.
Yeah.
All right. So we were talking about books to series. I've got a books to comic books. Did you guys pick this up this week?
Norse mythology. No, I have the audiobook. I still haven't.
I love the audiobook.
I haven't listened to it yet. I haven't.
It's just nice hearing Neil Gaiman say British things about not British things. He makes Odin and Thor sound very, very Anglo. It's it's kind of reassuring. You should get a nice cup of tea and start a fire to chill your moist bones. So it's
I very much enjoy his audiobook. I've been listening to A View from the Cheap Seat, I think is what it's called.
oh
And it's a lot of like short stories and essays and stuff.
okay
But it's the same thing. It's just like him talking. I can listen to him talk.
yeah read the
about
phone
anything.
book. Yep.
Yeah, it's just he has that perfectly sort of pleasant British, and he's so intelligent and sort of charming, and he's got a big career ahead of him someday.
Yeah, you think he's gonna do okay?
He's gonna do
No, he's fine. You'll be fine. This might be his big break.
This could be it. Yeah.
You got some Jerry Ordway and Mike Mignola art in this, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah, that Mignola guy, he's going to be okay
Also,
as well.
could be his big break.
Also, so that was fun. Did we all read the Three Jokers?
Wait, don't run off. Hold on. Go back to Norse mythology. So
yeah.
The audiobook, although I haven't listened to it yet, it's basically his take on the Norse mythology.
It's his telling of Norse mythological stories, and so it's not. I mean, he's not coming up with the stories. He's basically just like rewriting them and telling them. So it's
interpretation.
He's kind of adapting the stories, kind of rewriting them with all of the same story points and myths and lessons and that kind of stuff, but just kind of doing it very Neil Gaiman. And then these are just kind of like the illustrated comic versions of some of those.
So is that an ongoing series? Is that a finite series? Any idea?
I do not know. I just saw issue 1. I would imagine that eventually they'll run out of Norse mythology, but
they're not making new ones.
They're not making new ones. There will be a next issue on sale November 4th. So
Craig Russell.
Yeah. P. Craig Russell's doing covers and interiors. It's cool. I mean, it's quality stuff. If you're an early 2000s comic fan, this is right in your wheelhouse.
I'll have to go grab a copy. I didn't make it to the comic shop this week.
Yeah, but yeah, cool. I'm gonna read it. I've got to fly tomorrow, so they're all short stories, and I read one of them, so that'll be something on the flight in between episodes of BoJack Horseman.
I love American Gods.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
one of my favorite books now that I've ever read. I absolutely love that book, and I love.
How do you like this? How do you like the TV series on Stars?
Yes, I like the series very much. Yeah,
it's good. Okay,
yeah, it's very good. It's a little, obviously it's different than the book, but it's very well done. And anything with Ian McShane in it is pretty good. That's good for me. I don't need, I even watched. Did you guys ever see that very brief show he had called Kings? I think it was called.
Yeah, it was kind of an alternate history, like empires. It was good. It was really good in concept. It was it was modern day, but alternate history, right?
It was not well received, but I absolutely loved it because I could watch that guy do anything.
There was there's this talk show on Audience was the name of it. Sam Jones was the interviewer. I don't know if really good interview show. It got canceled, but fantastic interviews if you want to go back and watch any of the archives if you can find them. But Ian McShane was on, and I was we're watching this. And Sam Jones, great interviewer because he asks great questions, but he really just kind of lets the guest kind of go and just talk. And Marta looks up from her tablet or whatever, and she's just like, this guy never shuts the fuck up. And it was literally like Sam Jones asked him a question, and like 40 minutes later, McShane is
talking.
Yeah, he's just off somewhere. It's yeah.
Well, he's Irish, right?
Yeah.
So
great storytellers and
Great
natural
storytellers.
entertainers.
Right.
But out of any of the Gaiman like adapted to TV stuff, there's been obviously some great stuff. Good Omens. I will watch that over and over again.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
So good. So good.
I'm not a Terry Pratchett fan.
Okay.
I know people are gonna like, shit on me for that.
No, you can you
just
can
that
have your own
very-
opinion.
And I know Gaiman's a huge, obviously fan, but there's something about his style of storytelling that I find annoying.
Well, they work together on quite a few things, right? Gaiman and Pratchett.
I don't know that they did. They did that book, but I don't know that they
Okay.
did anything else.
I don't know if there's any other but I'm a huge David Tennant fan, and so it was anything that Tennant is in, I'm probably it's gonna tip the scale to me liking it.
Yeah, I don't like him either.
You don't.
I don't like him.
Well, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. You're wrong. You are wrong.
I'm not shitting on him. I know a lot of people love him. I am not a fan.
By the way, who aren't you a fan of?
David Tennant.
David Tennant. He just not that I dislike him or I think he's bad or I think anyone's wrong for liking him.
How could
That
you
is
ever
not the case.
dislike him? He's fucking delightful, Sal.
I think that's what I don't like.
He is a delightful human being.
He's too goddamn delightful.
He's got I really like his podcast. It's David Tennant does a podcast with ... It's nice interview work.
These Johnny-come-lately celebrities with their podcasts.
We were podcasting before all of them.
Swinging in and doing Doctor Who for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Being like, I'm just going to dabble in this.
And then do a podcast.
Yeah, get out of there.
Yeah, I really wanted to like that Good Omens. I love the idea of it, but it was just so goofy.
Oh, it's so fun. That's the point. It's so fun. It's way too British for you. I know it right now. It's just way too British for you.
I don't know. I disagree. Jesus Christ, I watched The Crown and I love it.
That's one. That's one. And I told Marta that, and she's like, "What, was there a hot chick in it?"
No. Yeah, the Queen. Well, Princess. What's her name? She's I will say that there is in that show there's a woman from Downton Abbey, I guess she was on because I went back and looked up what she was in.
Yeah.
But the woman that is in Brave New World, I guess she's a British actress and she was in Downton Abbey and that she almost would get me to watch that show, but
Who did she play in Downton Abbey?
I have no idea.
I will go. You talk amongst yourselves. I will IMDb this.
Yeah, it would start a Downton Abbey podcast.
Okay. I'm in. I'm in
on it every episode. If you don't mind that, then we're fine.
I liked it until Downton Abbey does feature one of like the greatest plot twists that you immediately like. This is bad. Like the second it happens, like not like, oh, I wonder where this is gonna go. No, it's like this isn't going to go anywhere good. Like the show is done.
Oh yeah, it's Jessica Brown Finley.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah. She spoilers. She dies in Downton Abbey, and it was horrible.
She
played Sybil in Downton Abbey. The pretty much the saddest episode ever in that show is Lady Sybil.
There's something about her face that I find it's not just like an attraction. Like she's obviously an attractive woman.
Yeah,
but I really enjoy just watching her. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. Like
creeper.
It's very pleasant. Like she has a very pleasant effect on me when I watch her act.
Yeah.
Like there's just something about her face and like it's like there's just something very pleasant about it. I don't know what it is, but it's like I really enjoy watching her.
Well, I mean, she's very disarming. She's adorable. There's a very British movie that I would suggest that she was in called the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society.
That's the most British name.
It's a really good movie. It's really good movie.
It's like a Kinks
Even
album.
Guernsey in it, like
Yeah.
you're not thinking that's any other type of movie.
Yeah, it's like anything. It's like went up a hill, came down a mountain, kind of title.
Like,
It's
Professor Peppertone's Lorry Lovers Society. Like,
Guernsey Society. Potato Peel. It's got all the. It's a really good movie.
It all sounds like a Kinks album.
I did not also enjoy Enola Holmes.
You did not enjoy Enola Holmes?
Terrible.
You have a shriveled up, dark, dead heart. What is wrong with you?
Awful. It was just horribly, just ham-fisted, terrible.
Delightful.
No, it's awful garbage.
Too
I was
Netflix.
mad that you made me watch it. I was angry.
Too
that I watched
Netflixy.
it. What?
Not it.
Too Netflixy. Like just like
It's okay to just sit back and enjoy sometimes.
just ham-fisted. Just like
Delightful fun.
I disagree. I don't. I was upset watching it. That movie upset me. It was.
How can that movie upset you?
It was so terrible.
It wasn't. It was. I will no. I won't fight you because that's not the British thing to do. It was just delightful.
It wasn't nearly as terrible as Adam Sandler's latest Netflix movie, but
oh, so which one?
Halloween.
What is it?
It's called
Halloween.
Yeah.
So is Adam Sandler? Is that just what he's going to do now? Is just do Netflix
He
movies?
just did Uncut
Just
Gems.
Gems, yeah.
He was like nominated for an Oscar.
I have not seen that, and
that's terrific.
Oh, it's great.
yeah, okay.
He's
Hey,
great.
Pete Davidson said it was awesome, so it's got to be right.
No, and then he turns around and makes this awful piece of shit.
It's I can only he must enjoy it. Because why would you
Kids movie? So I get like to a certain degree, like it's just sort of supposed to be silly, but it's just it's bad for an Adam Sandler. I mean, I'm not like an Adam Sandler hater. I'll watch fucking Waterboy and
Billy Madison.
It's just like
you know what I mean. Like I'll laugh. They're funny. You know, they're not great movies or anything, but it's like this is like for Adam Sandler. This is a bad movie.
just dumb, just the dumbest possible.
Yeah,
it's
There's dumb and good, and then there's just dumb.
he's a fascinating person because he'll be in movies like Uncut Gems, he's been in lots of interesting movies, but then also will make willingly like Hubie Halloween. I mean, but not like it's not like, at least as far as I know, it's not like a Nicolas Cage situation where Nicolas Cage is making movies to pay off like his ridiculous tax.
Yeah, huge amounts of tax
like,
debt.
I'll do it.
Wealthy.
Yeah. Like I think Adam Sandler's doing okay. So
Can you
it's sort of
believe
like-
they found his copy of Action Comics #1?
Oh, did they? Nicolas Cage's?
Oh yeah.
Where
It
did
was
they find
found
In a
somewhere
crib.
that it hadn't been stolen for insurance money.
Adam Sandler's interesting. Like I watched it was like a Hollywood Reporter roundtable. It was like a reporter guy, a journalist guy, and like it was Tom Hanks, Shia LaBeouf, Robert De Niro,
Okay.
what's his name, Jamie Foxx, and Adam
Henry
Sandler.
Kissinger.
No, and Adam Sandler.
Oh God.
After Uncut Gems, and they're
Okay.
they're all talking about acting, and like at one point they're like asking all these questions about it, and De Niro's talking and Tom Hanks and stuff, and they get to Adam Sandler. He's like, I'm not sure I'm supposed to be at this table.
He's self-aware.
You know, he's self-aware.
Yeah.
You know, and he was very honest about like, yeah, I mean, I wanted to do something different, and you know, but yeah, I'm not these guys.
You want me to sing a song about it?
Yeah. Well, they're like, well, what part of comedy or drama? And he's just like, comedy is just it's just not like I just go out and do stupid things and people laugh. It's not, I can't compare the two is kind of what he said, but it was interesting.
Well, I mean, that's not fair because he's sitting next to the guy who's started out as a comedian and has kind of turned into like everyone's favorite actor in Tom Hanks.
Yeah, right.
It's like the original like bosom buddies guy turns into, give me the Oscar every year for a decade.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But I mean, that's interesting. It's because like De Niro's like, listen, he's like, I can't make people laugh. I can't do comedy. I can't just sit there and make people laugh on purpose. He's like, I have other skills, but he's like, for me, it's way harder to do comedy. That's not something that's natural for me. And these guys, I can't, so it was an interesting kind of, but it was funny that like they get to him and they're asking him these serious questions about acting. He's like, yeah, I don't know that I'm supposed to be at this table. This is kind of ridiculous that I'm sitting with all these, amazing actors and,
Have you guys seen, I haven't watched it. Have you seen, speaking of Hanks, did you watch Greyhound?
Oh yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah. Very good. I mean, it's
I'm going to visit my dad this week, so that looks like a good me and my dad movie.
Yeah.
It's got submarines. It's World War II.
Yeah, for sure. It's the perfect sort of like, Tom Hanks movie. It's very action. It's got a lot of good action in it from the battles, and he plays, kind of a very Tom Hanksy character. Where
Does he play the same character from Saving Private Ryan?
A little bit. This was a real guy that it's based on. It was based on a book, and but it's got this perfect sort of setup because what would happen, like, so they would send fleets from America to Britain. And you get to a certain point in the ocean, and the plane that you would have aerial coverage protecting.
They run out of fuel and they got to go back. Yeah.
Well, they got to go back, and no planes from Britain could meet you far enough out. Yeah. So there was like, I don't remember what it was. It's like 28 hours of time that you have no aerial cover.
Yeah,
and that's like that's the dead zone basically, where you have to get through it and face off against possibly U-boats, and you have no cover.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of the setup, is like, this is this guy's first command, and they send him on this mission where he has to try and get this fleet and protect this fleet to across this water.
And everything's fine. They get right through, right?
No problems whatsoever.
Nice.
Yes,
nice. It's good. And they win the war. It's all good.
No, it's not fine, but but it has that perfect sort of like time clock where like the clock is ticking down. It's like 12 hours. It starts at like 28 hours, and it's like 14 hours to cover. 12 hours to and they just like, and the interesting thing is like the guy, Tom Hanks plays the captain of this one ship, and he's leading the whole thing, and he's a very Tom Hanks character. He's very,
leader of men.
Yeah, he's that guy. Everybody, the reason you love Tom Hanks. So yes, it's very good. It's not one of his best, but it's a very good movie. And yes, your dad would probably like it.
It's like the Tom Hanks dad movie box set. It'll be in there.
Saving Private Ryan, Greyhound,
Forrest Gump.
Oh, well, no, I was going to say the one where he's the pilot guy. What's the...
Sully.
Yeah. Sully.
Yeah. So Apollo 13.
Apollo 13.
It's like brave, strong white dude.
Yeah.
Like, he plays it better than anybody. Like,
Yeah. He's America's father-in-law.
Yeah, right? I like it.
How can you not? I love hearing him talk about typewriters.
He loves typewriters.
He
I
loves
don't
typewriters.
listen to him talk about them much.
Yeah.
But
Oh, you don't listen to enough NPR, my friend.
I listen to the perfect amount of NPR.
Typewriter, some heavy typewriter talk.
Someone asked me my views on the election coming up, and I was like, my view on the election is that I want NPR to be boring again.
It's exciting now. It's
I
a lot of
really just want NPR to be boring again. I want to be bored. That's all I want, is to be bored. Comics. Tom. Young man. Young bearded man. What fancies can you tickle with your comic observations this week?
I finished that book about Guantanamo Bay and some late reading.
Nice.
I also I started reading, catching up on comics from several years ago. I started reading Hickman's New Mutants, and I liked it a lot. I was like, oh, this is cool. I always like I've always enjoyed the New Mutants, like the sort of classic New Mutants team, and to sort of see them reunited in a comic that's sort of a little on the lighter side of Hickman's writing, where it's like
is this the one where like half of them go off into space and half of them are okay?
Yeah, it's very light and sort of, at least the beginning of it is. Who knows? Someone could die or turn into a brood at some point and it'll get serious. So but it was a pleasant surprise to read sort of a lighter Hickman book where the characters are funny and more approachable and less sort of like
dour,
serious, or less the word that I don't think this is the right word, but almost like monolithic, and like they're sort of like everyone's giving a big speech, or like
everyone's Cyclops.
Everyone's Cyclops, yeah. And I like Hickman, right? So it was kind of fun to read a book where he's definitely taking a different approach to like the dialogue.
Have a little fun.
Yeah, it's like a lighter fare, like it's a space adventure. At least the first trade is of like going off into space.
I mean, mutants in space is always a good combination for me. It's some of my favorite X-Men books. You put them off world, and it was always an interesting recipe, because they would talk about their mutantism, but you take them off planet and it's like they were able to be normal because they were in like crazy like sci-fi alien environments, and so there was nothing weird about them at that point. So I always enjoy kind of just, it was almost just like a palate cleanser. It's like, oh, okay, we're going to put them in this area where they're kind of normal and they get to be whatever they are, and then we can come back to racism and oppression and all that later.
You get back to it. I mean, basically, the New Mutants head off into space to go find Cannonball to tell them like, hey, things are cool for mutants now. And it's like, come back. So it's a nice light adventure-y sort of read with art by should mention Rod. I don't think I've ever said his name out loud. Rod Reese. Sorry. I probably mispronounced it. Yeah, it was cool.
Rice.
Is Warlock back?
Yeah, he's with Doug, right?
Is it Douglock?
I think so. They're like mixed together.
So that's Douglock.
I don't know.
So Douglock is the thing. I always love the Doug and Warlock.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever loved Douglock, but
it doesn't roll off the tongue.
No. I did Hoopla. I guess there's a collection of all of the Danny and the Bear stories. Not BJ and the Bear, but Danny and the Bear stories.
Smokey and the Bandit?
Yes. All the 80s mashups. I just downloaded it so I could look at the Sienkiewicz art, which is
Oh yeah.
Him doing like giant demon bear is just awesome.
I mean, it is kind of funny with that book how what starts off as like a pretty light, like a kind of X-Men redux, right? Like, how do we retell young X-Men in a way? And then it kind of, Sienkiewicz does the art and it turns into like a totally different, like, whoa, what is happening in this book right now? Like, it's just such a...
we were kind of thinking like a lighthearted kid story.
Demon bear killing people.
I mean, they were always like, it's obviously an adventure book, but it obviously starts off as just like it's a bunch of kids who are mutants, and then
and Kitty Pryde wants nothing to do with
them. And it goes. I mean, that book goes, in the 100 original issues, it goes in all kinds of just like totally weird places, which is kind of interesting to think about in hindsight, like how far everything went in all kinds of weird directions in the time span that it existed.
There was like this little sliver of time where New Mutants, I think, was it outselling X-Men, or it was right there as far as being probably just as popular as the X-Men.
I loved it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I definitely liked it more than the X-Men at that time, I think.
Yeah.
It was more like contained.
Yeah, and I related to those characters. I mean, I was a teenager. Well, let's see, when did that come out?
Earlier than you think, probably.
84?
Yeah, I think 84, 85, somewhere in that 3-year.
Yeah, I mean, so I was like 14 years old when that came out, or 15 maybe. And I just remember sort of like really relating to those characters much more than, as much as I dug Wolverine and, Colossus and those X-Men, there was something about Cannonball and Doug and Rain, and just like they weren't, they had angst like I did.
Yeah.
They were
lost. They were all lost.
Yeah.
So that was the cool thing about him is that at that point the X-Men had like established themselves as a team, and
right.
they were all
heroes. They were this big superhero team, and then you had these kids that were just like fucked up and not sure if these were curses or powers and how to deal with them. They were kind of angry and
didn't have control of their powers.
And so I remember
1982.
Holy shit, really? 82?
Yeah, 1982 was the New Mutants graphic novel.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be just because I remember those Kitty Pryde X-Men issues. I'm like, yeah, that was early 80s.
But then think about, and then by the end, Liefeld is drawing it. Like, think of the journey.
So many pouches
through comics. Oh yeah, I still love those ones where
Oh, the Liefeld new.
I'm a sucker for that and like X-Force and that like sort of dumb.
Yeah.
Like in hindsight, you're like, why was this such a big deal? But yeah, I mean, they were fun.
I mean, that's where Cable came out of, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to think about that. Yeah.
I've tried to go back and read it again, but I can't quite. I mean, at almost 50.
Yeah, it probably doesn't know.
Yeah, it's just
resonating. Yeah,
not the same. Not the same.
Yeah.
But I always love, like, I like Rain and Cannonball and
Sunspot,
Roberto. Those were my favorite. Like, those were my favorite characters. As much as like, I always wanted Sunspot to not be a dick. You know what I mean? Like, but he was. Like,
he was raised by a drug kingpin. In Central America.
Yeah, I wanted him not to be. And Cannonball was probably my favorite.
Yeah, Sam.
Rain. I really liked Rain a lot. Magic was cool, but she was like weird and.
The Hickman, the approach is though, it's like what's cool about it is all those things about like Roberto was a dick when he was younger, and now that he's an adult, he's less of a dick, but there's still, you could tell he used to be a dick. You know, or like you could definitely tell
tendencies.
Yeah, you could definitely tell, you know, that Hickman and Rice have a fondness for the characters, because it definitely doesn't. It feels like them, but like as adults, you know, and now like they've grown up or like become more responsible or become more of who they are. There's still that piece of them that's like, oh yeah, that is him.
Yeah,
right.
But he's different. He's not the same as he was
still,
in the 80s, but it's like, oh, but I recognize that character. You know,
is that maybe one of the differences between maybe how we read comics now, or how people read comics now, and how we did then? And I don't want to get on the total nostalgia train here, but in my mind, I remember reading those issues over and over again. And I can't remember the last time, even a comic I really liked, where I would finish it and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to read that again. You know, I just remember reading those issues over and over and over again.
You didn't have access maybe to as many comics as we do now.
Yeah.
So like you would only buy, like I remember at that point, like when I'm 11, 12 years old, I was only buying a couple, you know,
4 or 5 a month,
maybe 5. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, and I wasn't. Yeah, it's like I don't even know if I realized comics came out every week at that point. You know, and so yeah, you were waiting a month for the next issue, so you would read. You know, you might only have 5 or 6.
Yeah,
I think. But yeah, I definitely don't reread comics like that.
I can tell you that kids reread shit over and over again. But they do. That's how kids learn. Like kids just have that natural.
Let me tell you about the monster at the end of the book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or like why Blue's Clues will play the same episode every week. Like kids' brains, like repetition. Like they like
same thing over and over and over and over again for sure. Like they would watch the same shows, the same episodes of shit. Like they still do.
Yeah. Like
will still watch. The Fantastic Mr. Fox is her favorite movie of all time.
You've said that before. How many times do you think that she's seen that movie?
100.
Yeah.
I mean,
like kids' brains are just wired that. Like,
yeah,
they just like love the thing they love, and they love watching it over and over again. And
they can't get enough of it.
They learn from it because like they're always reading the same book over and over and over and over and over and over again, or like watching the same movie over and over and over. You know, like my son, every time he'll watch Star Wars over and over and over again, but then he'll notice different things every time he watches it, where he starts to figure out like.
He's one of those. He's one of those fans.
Right? He's like, well, no, he gets like, you know. The first time he watches it, he loves it because of all the action and all that stuff, and he gets the story. But like,
well, I think it's
as he watches it more, he's like, oh wait, Han Solo's not supposed to be. He's not like a good guy at this. You know, like is Han Solo a bad guy? You know, and it's like he starts to like, because he's seen it a bunch of times. He starts thinking about the stuff in it, and it's like, wait a second, like.
It's evolving. Like his brain is developing, and I think that's part of it too. Is like we don't have the same connection to things that we did. Like you would get certain feelings from reading a issue of a comic, and I don't think we get those same, you know, like endorphin
rush. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like we're not getting
doesn't hit the dopamine centers.
Yeah, and like when you're a kid, it's like you know, like I could have read the same issue over and over again because I was still getting that same feeling every time I read it, or like you're saying, like different feelings as I sort of examine. I mean, almost every year I reread Watchmen.
Yeah, sure.
It's the same thing. I find something else.
It's a warm bath, but you always. But at this point, I find myself almost looking for things that I haven't noticed before. It's much more. It's almost scholarly whenever I read it to begin with, and then by the time I'm halfway through, it's more of that warm bath experience.
We talked a couple weeks ago, like I was talking about like watching shows on comics and then sort of re-examining the comics, giving me a new perspective on some stuff. Like what was the Grant Morrison?
The Doom Patrol.
Yeah, the Doom Patrol, like, oh, this is really funny. Like Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol is actually very funny, and I don't think I ever got that the first time around that I read it. Like, oh, this is actually a very funny, clever book. And so, like, going back and reading it again with a different perspective really, was enjoyable. Like, oh, this isn't just like I don't have to just sit here and think about this. Like, I can just enjoy it too. Like, it's
well. There are sometimes, especially with a Grant Morrison book, is like you have like this preconceived notion. It's like, okay, well, fuck, it's a Grant Morrison book.
Serious,
yeah, okay, get your,
what do I got to figure out? What's the
Yep. I better go drink a cup of coffee before I read this, and yeah, it takes you by surprise when you're like, oh, this is actually funny. I feel the same way.
What is there anything you guys like watch over and over again or read over and over again still at this point in your life? And not just comics, but like or I'm sure there's music that you listen
there's music I listen to over and over and over again. Things that I watch or rewatch.
I rewatch episodes of Mystery Science Theater sometimes because I like to fall asleep to it. Not because I don't like it, but because I actually find it relaxing and funny.
Nice.
But it's like it's just entertaining enough to make me want to watch it, but also the movies tend to be boring enough that it doesn't keep me awake, so I can kind of like lay down and I'll put it on and it's like, that's fun. And then I end up falling asleep. There are a few though that I always end up watching, but I do watch that a lot over and over again, almost like a child. I don't know why. I mean, I guess I found the online channels that just play different episodes.
Right.
Like over and over again. So it's like
Pluto TV.
Yeah, where I don't even pick one. It's just like whatever one's on, I'll watch 20 minutes. Like if I'm like working on something and I don't want to I want noise, but I don't want to have to like really pay attention. Kind of drop in and out of it.
In the wintertime, I will alternate between Game 7 of the 2006 National League Championship Series or Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, and I will watch those probably 5 or 6 times over the winter whenever I'm, hankering for baseball, because those are the 2 greatest baseball games.
I can't rewatch old sports things. Like once I know what happened.
Oh, they're neat. They're neat. It's more.
I don't think I've ever rewatched a sporting event. Well, not all the way through. Like show the highlights. I'm not going to watch a whole baseball. God, I can barely sit through.
Well, I mean, I'm not sitting there. I'm not sitting there keeping fucking score. It's no, I'm not keeping score. It's on while I'm. It's like, oh, I need. I've got to clean the kitchen. Well, I guess I'll put on. Game 7 of the 2006. At LCS.
It's funny. I started. Not really rewatching, but like catching back up. I think on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh,
but then I get to a point where I was like, oh, I've seen these episodes before.
Yeah.
But I watched the one. Do you remember the one where they made a sitcom out of their moms, out of Mac and Charlie's moms living together?
Yeah.
I sat and watched that again. I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking genius. Like, this is one of the most well-written, like, deep, goddamn stupid shows I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, I didn't realize how brilliantly done that episode is. Of like, it's a episode within an episode within an episode, and the whole thing is, while it's using the tropes of sitcoms to make fun of sitcoms, it's making a sitcom. Yeah. It's so fun. It's a
Russian doll episode. Yeah.
I'm watching, like, wow, I'd seen the episode before, but I kind of just, I just watched it and laughed at it and didn't really think about it much.
There were some bizarrely brilliant episodes of Raising Arizona. If you'd ever seen that show.
There was a show?
No, not Raising Arizona. Raising Hope. Sorry. I got my raisins mixed up. Raising Hope.
I've never seen it.
It's really, really good. Yeah, it's kind of along that, you so much subtext.
With It's Always Sunny, like it's been on for so long that like they've gone
Raising Arizona also
they've
brilliant.
gone through the whole curve of like, oh, this is great, and then they kind of hit a lull, and then they kind of figured out how to just like go forever, and then it like it got better. Like I read an interview with one of them where they're like, they figured out, they tried a bunch of different stuff, and then they were like, oh wait, like, oh, I get it, like how we can just keep doing this.
This can go on and on and on. Yeah. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
at this point, which is beautiful. I was just like, I mean, I've always liked the show. It was always brilliant in a certain way of like what they do with it, using those characters to sort of, make fun of horrible people and that kind of thing. But it was just something about that.
The Nazi episode, that's one I could watch.
Oh yeah,
over and over. It's just so, yeah, it's so good. And yeah, the guys find a dumpster baby also could watch over and over again.
There's so many, but like I said, it was just
the ones whenever they intentionally get addicted to crack cocaine so they could get on welfare. Just brilliant.
I think season 12 is one of their best, like back-to-back episodes of like they have so many good episodes in that. But it's a great.
That's amazing saying that, like season 12.
Like weird, like sometimes where you can sort of re-examine something or just kind of see something from a different perspective and be like, oh wow, I completely missed that the first time around. It's like, wow, this is really, really well done. Like I never really saw that before in it. Like how much work. I think that's like it's such an interesting thing. Like with movies and TV shows, like sometimes you just sort of take them for granted. Of like, oh well, it's on every week, so it's kind of disposable in some ways. Like there's so much television, but it's like sometimes you like, oh wow, there's a lot of craft in this. Like these guys are really working hard.
I saw someone post that like apparently like American Horror Story is getting away with some crazy shit this season because I mean like people like just take it for granted that it's on, but apparently it's gone like really weird this year, like weirder than normal weird. So
I'm not a Ryan Murphy fan. I don't.
Yeah, I
tried that new show he has, Ratched. Did you see that?
Oh, it's about the Nurse Ratched, the like prequel story.
Yeah,
I guess I never was interested in knowing.
Yeah,
it's so strange.
Here's a series about a person you hated from a movie you haven't seen in 20 years.
I have to go in a couple moments, but I'm just gonna say, that shows an example of like earlier this week where Alan Moore did some interview or something where he was talking about comics. Someone asked him about comics, and of course Alan Moore gives the answer he always gives. Like, so it's like not a surprise, right?
They're
like,
all terrible except the one I wrote.
But he was talking about he was sort of like, it perhaps should be worrying that in 2016 as all these elections are happening and we're sort of seeing like perhaps the collapse of certain
end of democracy.
That like 7 of the top 10 movies are all comic book movies, and it's all about adults escaping from reality and like looking for simplified like right versus like illusions,
complex problems.
But the Ratched thing is such an example because he mentions like just like all these adults who sort of like perhaps have been have infantile thoughts about like good and evil and all these things, and like now all entertainment caters to that, whether he's right or wrong. That's sort of the gist of it. But like that Ratched thing, it's such a comic book thing to be like, what's the origin
prequel? We got
where it's like, no, you did. Like nobody who was involved with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
First, because I'm like, is this Nurse Ratched prequel? Really? Like,
yes. That's where we are.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like with all,
it's so comic booky.
Huh?
it's so comic book.
Yeah.
Like thinking of like what sort of character from like a prestige movie can we create a prestige show about like their origin story where it's
the thing was I didn't make the connection at first, and I'm like, I thought it maybe was. I'm like, no, they wouldn't make a whole show on
Yes, they would.
It pops up on Netflix right next to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I'm just like, oh fuck, it's a Nurse Ratched show. I'm like, that's insane. Who wants that? Like, who comes? That's my problem.
It's like number 4 on Netflix today. A lot of people.
Ryan Murphy, I feel like he is the epitome of I'm just gonna copy a bunch of shit that people don't remember and sort of make throw it in
the bag and shake it up.
Yeah, and it's like all of his horror stuff, all of it.
He's like the sleight of hand J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's just like, and people fall for it and love it, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm still like, I feel, I have for years. You can go back and I shit on Harry Potter. I feel redeemed now that everybody hates Harry Potter.
Well, they don't hate Harry Potter; they just hate her.
But I mean, she wrote the book, so you can't.
No, you're not redeemed.
I'm redeemed.
You love Harry Potter. You love
Harry Potter.
Yes.
I didn't. Me?
Yeah.
I love Harry Potter.
I've heard you talking about Quidditch and
in mind. What's his name? The singer from that shitty band that all you fucking hipsters like.
Morrissey.
Yeah, Morrissey. I'm redeemed on that piece of shit. He's a garbage person, and
but people knew that Morrissey was a garbage person for decades.
Yeah, but now people won't proclaim him as some sort of musical genius. He's I'm just saying. I like at some point something horrible is going to come out about Ryan Murphy, and I'll be redeemed.
What? You are preemptively saying that this is a garbage person, and you will be redeemed at some point.
Here, man, I'm calling my shot.
I'm calling on Lin-Manuel Miranda right now. This Hamilton shit is overblown, and we're going to find out eventually that he's a garbage human being.
I do not like him, but I do like Hamilton. I'm not a big.
How can you not like Lin-Manuel Miranda? It's like David Tennant. He's a delightful human being.
No, you might end up finding out that some of our forefathers were garbage human beings.
But he is the worst part of Hamilton. He's the worst.
It's
terrible.
And the Disney Plus version does him no favors.
The which one? The what?
The Disney Plus. Seeing it filmed, he is like, somebody else would have done, because when I saw it, somebody else played that part, and
he wasn't supposed to. The person who was the guy who was going to be Hamilton
for him.
No, the guy that was going to play Hamilton got sick.
I guess I'll have to do this. Well, I guess.
Roll up my sleeves and.
Yep.
I guess I'll have to do it myself, and
I'll have to play the lead.
I am looking forward to The Heights, which the movie has been delayed like every other movie.
I guess if he's sick, I'll take one for the team.
Yeah.
Oh, hush.
I don't want to.
Awful.
I don't want to take the lead character. Amazing Broadway.
Oh, he already made his money. He got like $5 million to write that play.
Yeah, but he didn't have the fame that he has. He
didn't have. Now, I mean, who could have predicted that? It's ridiculous.
I'm still convinced that the title of the show, Hamilton, is actually about his wife and not about Alexander Hamilton. I thought that's how it was going to end. I thought it was like, big spoiler, this is about her. She was maybe way more impressive than him, I felt.
I think they play that up.
My favorite part of Hamilton before I leave is like
he dies in the end, by the way. Spoilers.
The part where they're singing about writing like the Federalist Papers, and he's like, he wrote the other 50, and it's like,
only wrote 6.
Yeah,
John Jay wrote 6.
John Jay got sick and died and only wrote 6. Alexander Hamilton wrote the other 52. It's like, like you're the way they say it, you're supposed to be like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like
Damn.
damn 52.
Yeah, you're talking to a generation of people that post on Facebook and whatever,
Also,
100 times a day.
Having read the Federalist Papers in college, like it's pretty. Mailed some of those in. I mean, come on. Like all 52 of those aren't fucking the greatest writing of all time, right? So it's like,
don't you dare tell the Federalists that.
Yeah, just let's condense it. It's like he wrote the other 50. I can't believe it. How could one man do that?
Oh, I will recommend before you leave, Tom. I think you would enjoy it. Both of you guys would enjoy it. Is Colin Quinn's new book, Overstated? Just roasts every state. It's pretty funny, and he goes into history stuff. And have you guys seen his Red and Blue specials?
No.
Oh God, they're so good. They're so.
What
good.
was the game show he was on MTV back in the?
Well, he had a show called It was his show was Tough Crowd that he did with a bunch of other comedians, and they would always talk about politics and stuff. But in the last couple of years, he has done some tremendous, like, it's not even stand up; it's more just like one man kind of plays. But it's all
remote control. Sorry,
remote control. I don't even remember remote control.
That was his big break, was remote control.
Well, his last couple of stand-up specials and books that he's done are all about history. He did Red State, Blue State, which is really good, and it's all about like, the differences between the states and everything. But this is sort of an expansion of that, where it's only like a 4-hour audiobook, and but it's like he just goes state to state and sort of makes fun of their history and kind of explains why they are the way they are, people from different states, and it's really, really funny. But the one I don't remember if it was the one where he basically talks about the colonies and the Constitution. I think it's Unconstitutional is the one stand-up special that's really good, and he talks about just how the country was formed and the original 13 colonies, and he does it in this sort of Boston blue collar way.
Yeah, it's the really Colin Quinn way. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's really smart and really funny. I think you guys would both like them.
All right, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
All right, guys, I gotta go.
All right, have a good evening, sir. He's gone. There he is. He's out.
Wait, what? Oh, what happened?
Do you want me? Should I? Oh, he's frozen.
Put the T-shirt on him. Put the AC T-shirt on him.
Oh wait. All right, hold on. What is there? Just gonna.
There it is.
Wait, there you go. Hey.
AroundComics.com shop.
There you go.
And you can look just like Tom.
Yeah. You wish.
You wish.
Bunch of nerds.
The drip like Tom.
Yeah.
All right, Tomas. You have a wonderful week.
You guys later.
Yep. See you next week.
See you, brother.
Yay.
Now you're wearing the shirt.
Yeah. I'm over here. Oh.
Yeah. I took it off. All right, man. Well, it's about an hour and a half.
Yeah. I got a whole pile of stuff I was going to talk about. Dude, yeah, get this.
I read it.
It's awesome.
I got to get a hard copy of it. I liked it a lot. But you know what? I haven't caught up on American Vampire, so.
Oh, so you don't know what happened to Skinner?
It doesn't really matter. It's like whatever. Okay, so he lost.
Catch up. He's not a vampire anymore.
Yeah,
so
big deal.
Yep.
But I really liked it. Raphael Albuquerque's art is so fucking good.
Dude is awesome. Yeah.
I don't know why
why he's not like a absolute, like he's not like the man.
Yeah, man, he's so good.
Yeah, he's so good. So good. Any American Vampire book is a treat for me. It's probably, it's a top 3 book from the last, 15 years for me. It's up there with like 100 Bullets as like something that's something I go back and I reread. I reread American Vampire and 100 Bullets, and it's like Snyder and Albuquerque are like Azarillo and Rizzo for me. They're peanut butter and jelly, man.
It's definitely probably my favorite Scott Snyder stuff.
Without a doubt. It's his Batman. I can, take it or leave it. I think this is his book, and you can just tell that this is him pouring himself into this book.
It's interesting because I feel like it's such a perfect television show.
Oh my God.
I'm really shocked that it hasn't become one yet, because it just seems like a natural fit. Like, it just seems absolutely like it would be a perfect TV show.
Yeah.
On FX or something. You know what I mean? Like, it just, you can see it in it.
It would be an expensive show because it's such, you're looking period pieces that go from like the Old West, and it would be interesting. It would be a brilliant TV show because like season 1 would be like the Old West. Season 2 would be like World War I. Season 3
that's
would
the problem. They don't want to necessarily do it that way. Maybe they haven't figured out how to tell it.
Oh, it would be brilliant though.
Oh, I would love it.
Yeah,
no
but I'm sure that you're right. Is that I'm sure there's someone in a suit somewhere saying it would confuse the viewer because the first scene, the first year it's a Western, the second year it's like a 1920s flapper.
Yeah, I'm sure
show.
Like going, well, we can't do it that way. We can't.
Then it's a war book, and and then we're in the 1950s, and it's about racism and vampires and that kind of stuff.
But I'm
brilliant series though.
I'm sure it will be at some point. I can't imagine that somebody wouldn't.
Liked it. Good first issue.
Shang-Chi.
If you want to get some kung fu action, I have more thoughts on it, which we can save for next week. But I really liked it.
Something about So I was reading when last week's comic came out. I was reading Avengers, I think it was.
Okay.
And I had a actual emotional moment when I saw Black Panther.
Oh, you had a Chadwick Boseman moment.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. Like, it was like, oh wow, he's not dead in the comic. I kind of I've so associated Chadwick Boseman with that character.
Yeah.
That I had a genuine emotional moment when I first saw Black Panther in a comic book, because it had really been the first time I had seen him, that character, since he had died, and it was just like, oh wow, I my brain had to readjust and sort of like go, oh, that's right, he still is alive.
Yeah, in the comics.
But
I had a Black Panther moment this week as well. So we wanted to call and check on our homeowners insurance and just make sure that we were up to date on everything. We do that once a year, and I called my insurance agent, and sometimes Cynthia, and so I'm talking with her, and we're going over coverage, and she says, are there anything like jewels or furs? And I'm like, yeah, no. And she's like, how about artwork that you want to have covered? And I was like, actually, I probably do need to get some artwork appraised that we would cover in case of fire. And she's like, okay, what kind of artwork? And I was like, this sounds really dorky, but original comic book art. And because I probably have just enough that I probably need to
right
put it on my insurance. And she's like, oh, that's so cool, that sounds so neat. What kind of comic books art do you collect? And I told her, I bullet pointed. I was like, yeah, I've got some Avengers and some Fantastic Four and stuff that I thought that she would know. And she's a black gal, and she goes, that's really cool. I bought a few years ago. I bought all of the Black Panther comic books for kids and gave them to all of my grandchildren, and I still have a bunch. I've got like a hardcover from Black Panther that is up in in the attic that that I keep, and it's just in this conversation I'm just like, wow, that character and that movie meant so much to a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of people, and yeah, I was just like, wow, that's that it connected that many people, and that comic books were responsible for that was pretty amazing. I'm sure, Jack Kirby, somewhere has a big smile on his face, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that was, well, like I said, it kind of surprised. I surprised myself that I had that kind of emotional,
Mm-hmm.
reaction to it because, I'm not. I mean, I've always liked the character of Black Panther,
Sure.
certainly,
And you liked the movie, and yeah, yeah.
but I didn't have the connection to that movie that so many people did. Not being black, but yeah, there was definitely something about like he was so much like over the last few years, like so much, that character.
Oh, his character you love to see on screen.
Yeah,
It's almost a little bit of a Bruce Lee thing.
yeah, well, yeah, I can see what you mean by that. Sure,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just such a and he was it's a shame. I mean, we didn't really get to talk about it, but it was just I like I said, I was freaked out a little bit of like the reaction I had when I just saw the character on a comic book page. Like, why would I think? You know what I mean? Like, it was just such a weird.
Why would I be surprised
Okay,
that he's in the comic book? Yeah.
That's some testament to that dude. Ingraining
He was awesome.
my mind that he was Black Panther. It was just like, wow. Hey, before we go,
Played a great Jackie Robinson as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And James Brown, phenomenal James Brown.
He's a great actor.
Killed it with James Brown. Which is a really good movie. The James Brown. What's it called? Shit, I can't think of the name of it. I don't remember the name of the movie, but it's really good. It has one of the best opening scenes
Really?
Well, it's the opening scene is basically like 19 maybe 80 something.
Okay.
And there's like this meeting going on in this insurance company office that is owned by James Brown because he had a lot of businesses, and one of them
he did. Sure.
He had an insurance company, and for some reason James Brown shows up that morning and comes in with like a baseball bat and is pissed off because someone parked in his spot. and he wait, did he have a baseball bat or a shotgun? I think he had a shotgun. That's right. I think he had a shotgun, and he comes in and he's trying to find out who parked in his spot, and he's just insanely crazy, and then he proceeds to like pass out. That was
nice.
That's the opening of this great. But then it's like the movie's really good. But
Get On Up.
Yeah. Before we went, we did get an email from someone.
Okay.
This is a bit of a plug. I done kicked them out. That, but this is from Dave Can, K-A-N-N.
I was gonna say, is it Keanu Reeves?
It's not Keanu Reeves, no.
Because I think they're only like $2 million on that Kickstarter.
At all?
Oh, Matt Kent, I'm so happy for you.
This says, good day, Chris, Sal, and Tom. I'm the creator of Lovecraft P.I., a comic series that reimagines the macabre world of H.P. Lovecraft fused with noir detective novels of the 1920s and 30s. We've teamed up with Mike Shea, one of the creators of Miskatonic High, a comic series about students who take on H.P. Lovecraft-style monsters and their small-town high school in a modern setting. We currently have a Kickstarter campaign running, which launched a few days ago, breaking both our opening day records with clearing $10,000. We're out here spreading the word and would love to come on your podcast. I'd be happy to send a digital copy, part 1, to review as well. And then he sent the Kickstarter. So I don't know if we want to talk to these guys or not, but I just thought,
let's take a look at it. Okay,
I'll send you the email. But yeah, they have a Kickstarter. Looks pretty good. I don't know.
Nice.
I haven't read Miskatonic High. I'd heard of it before. I'd never read it.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks pretty good. And if you're into H.P. Lovecraft stuff, which I am for the most part. So go check that out if you're looking for another Kickstarter. Cool. I like giving the Kickstarter some props, but
Isn't it? It's especially during COVID. It's amazing that how important Kickstarter has become to distributing comics. I love it.
for sure.
It's very democratic, and we've had
I
a
have
few
a few
people on.
things anyway.
Yeah. Jason Gonzalez, the Del Destino Kickstarter. I think he's 3/4 of the way, so need to
Good.
get a little push across the finish line there. But that was a hearty Kickstarter goal that he put out there to get that made. So fingers crossed on that. Tom Kelly is fulfilling his Kickstarter now, and
Right.
yeah, and then we had Jim Rugg, that guy, that no talent wash up.
Those guys are just like I get pissed off because they at some point they're basically just going to use every topic and every book.
Pisses me off.
It's
Pisses
like
me off.
7 days a week they're putting out freaking podcasts. I'm like, come on, save something for somebody else to talk about, man.
I got this. They do like 2 hours on it. Do you have this, by the way?
Probably. I don't know.
It's amazing. So we're talking about the cartoonist kayfabe. That's Ed Pisker and Jim Rugg's great podcast. They're if you want to get into the actual process of making comics and listen to two guys, completely nerd and geek out on stuff. It's great. They do about it's over an hour on that Frank Miller Daredevil Artifact Edition, and what they really cream over is more Klaus Jansson's inking than Miller's pencil work.
Right.
I mean, if you get that Artifact Edition and watch that episode of Cartoonist Kayfabe, you walk away with an amazing respect for Klaus Janson as an inker. I mean, just
Well, if you didn't already have it.
And looking at the artist pages, it's even more than the actual comics. The work is phenomenal. I mean, it is breathtakingly beautiful what they did in those books. If you like Zipatone, it's glory days, man.
Who doesn't like Zipatone?
Glory days of Zipatone. Yeah, and last one before we go. I'm telling you, this is my favorite series of this year.
I think they're expanding that. Did you see they have they came out this week? I think it came out Deceased Dead Earth.
Really?
Yeah. So I think they're expanding that. It probably did so well that they're expanding the universe a little bit.
Well, this Daniel Warren Johnson cat, I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled for more of his work. That was 4 really meaty issues and just beginning to end a story that
Good stuff.
Far and away my favorite book of 2020. So kind of
you'll have to put it in your year-end award.
Are we
ceremony.
doing? No, we're not doing that.
No, we're not doing that.
We're not. We are not going to do that.
Wait, you don't want to talk 5.5 hours?
We are not going to do that. We will maybe say what our favorite stuff is in retrospect without having our feet put to the fire, but we are not going to make big exhaustive lists about lots of things that we read this year. So,
all right.
Yeah.
If you insist.
Yeah. I have trouble keeping track of shit from year to year anyway. So
guaranteed.
Yeah. I told my wife it's like the 90s were like 10 years ago, right? She's like, "Oh." No. All right, so are we done? I gotta plan.
I'm good. I gotta go watch The Boys. I gotta go watch the final episode.
Yeah, it's really good. You'll enjoy that. I got a plane. I got to catch. So,
have a safe trip. Say hi to your friends for me.
I will. It's I got all my my hula stuff. Hoopla, not hula. Hoopla. I got my hoopla stuff lined up, and I've got the first season of it's a counter. Was it
Counterpoint?
Counterpoint with
you're gonna love
J.K.
that
Simmons. Yep, I got a 3.5 hour layover in St. Louis. So
you're gonna love that show. I'm telling you, that's gonna be your favorite show.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like, they made it just for me, and
Yeah.
I didn't find.
Yeah.
But I got. So here's the thing, like a airplane thing. I only watch BoJack Horseman and drink tomato juice when I'm on a plane. Those are like my two airplane things. So I've got a
I
whole
love
season.
BoJack Horseman.
Huh?
I love BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch I will watch the entire fourth season over the course of these plane rides. So
Enjoy it.
Yep. So, and I got to finish up season 2 of Cobra Kai.
You got a lot of watching to do, man.
I do. I'm gonna be a little
time with your family while you're there.
I will. Yes, I will. They're older. They sleep a lot. They're like pit bulls, so they're good.
Your parents aren't that old, are they?
They're in their 70s.
Oh gosh, man.
Yeah, I know we're getting old, dude. Yeah, they're like 70, 72, and 73 now. So
wow,
not young whippersnappers anymore. My mom can still drink me under the table though. All right, so we'll be back next week. I'm also going to finish reading Batman White Knight, and so I think
have been reading that slowly but surely.
Yep. Let's plan on talking about that next week. That's our book of the monthish selection. So we'll talk Batman White Knight next week. If you want to send the show some questions, or if you have a Kickstarter going, or if you just want to drop a line and say hi, you can do that at info@aroundcomics.com. If you are watching this here production, know that we have an audio version that comes out through all of your favorite podcast catchers. If you are listening to this, know that we record usually every Sunday night about 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, so you can send in questions live there or see our faces made for radio live. And that's all I got, man. We good?
On Instagram and Twitter and Facebook if you choose. We're also at aroundcomics.com. You can buy stuff at aroundcomics.com/shop. We have all sorts of shirts and hats and goodies there.
Buy a coffee mug.
What's that?
Buy a coffee mug.
Buy a coffee mug. You can get a coffee mug there.
There you go. Yeah.
All sorts of goodies. So check that out. And that's about it.
All right. Well, we'll be talking about all that stuff next week. In the meantime,
in between time,
we will be everywhere in and around comics. Cue the music.
Comics.